You are now listening to Ride With Me, the Flat Tire Andy podcast.
Welcome to the Flat Tire Andy podcast, episode number 9. It is June 27, 2020, 10:02 a.m. A quick shout out to Daniel Camarillo, his birthday today. So happy birthday, buddy. And today, after the visitations with the children was horrible, I finally had enough and decided to get a lawyer. Thanks to my wife and her family, they helped me. I go into the lawyer's office, and she is really good at her job. She only takes cases that she knows that is for the best interest for the child. And my wife went ahead and researched her first before we decided to ask her to help us out. She had really good reviews, and I went in and I sit with her for the first free 30 minutes. And she tells me, I start telling her stories about, visitations with the children and how things are been. And this is the first time I'm wearing a tie because, I want to make the best impression. My wife helped me. She told me you need to wear a tie. The lawyer was like, okay, I've heard, it sounds interesting, okay. But when I tell her she married my family member, she's like, oh no, are you? I'm definitely taking your case. That sold her. That's it. I'm done. Okay, I'm taking your case, man. You don't have to tell me anything else. But due to the history, she did tell me that I needed to hire a private investigator. And that's where this man comes into play, Mr. Ian Tausig.
Oh, do I speak now?
You can speak now.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for having me on here.
No problem, bud. You're a big part of my book.
You definitely had a very interesting and unique case. No two cases are the same. They're like fingerprints. A lot of them have the same basic fact pattern, and child custody cases are no different. But I remember the first time you came into my office, I had that phone call, or you may have been walked down the hall. I think you were walked down the hall. Hey, you need to talk to this guy. We're going to take this case. Okay, no, it's fine. I only got 8,000 other things I'm working on right now. But yeah, no, plop them down. And that was pretty common back then. It was, hey, here's 8,000 things due today. Oh, by the way, we have 16 meetings for you. Oh, okay, yeah, I'll get right on that. So this guy comes in and he sits down, and I think it was you, and she wasn't your wife yet.
She wasn't my wife
yet.
It wasn't
your wife yet. And I think at this point I had only been doing this. Gee, not that light. You're my first case, or one of my first cases. You're like my first 10, my first court case, and good God. But it's like anything else. You came in, and like any custody case, there's allegations. This parent's doing this. This parent's doing that. This person's horrible. This person has this person around my kids, and when you get into enough custody cases and you work in that industry, that business long enough, you hear everything until you hear the next thing. You go, oh, I've heard it all now, and then the next one walks in, and you go, what happened? They did what? And the whole thing starts all over again. And at first you were no different. You came in, said, oh, my baby mama, my ex is this, and she does this, and she does that, and you sat in my office for probably an hour, and I'm sitting there taking notes, and the whole time it's going to go, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm sure, okay, but that's normal, because it's custody, right? People, they want to win, and I'm sure we'll talk about that, but in any investigation, regardless of the type of case, as an investigator, you want to try not to prejudge the outcome of the investigation, right? That's like basic day one stuff. You have a set of facts there, and you really have to remember their allegations. And working, as a private investigator or insurance investigator versus working in law enforcement, your priorities shift a little bit, because now I have someone who's paying me to do this, which doesn't necessarily mean that I need to change the outcome of the investigation, and I shouldn't, but I have to remember that someone's paying me to do this. So I just have to tailor what I do around that.
Right.
So I sat and okay. Yeah, I know. She's terrible. She drinks around the kid. Yeah, I'm sure, bud. Get right on that. Give you a pat on the back and send you on your way. And as I started to get into it, and I started to look into her and research some of your allegations, I started going, oh my God, no, that's true. And that's true.
Well, to cut you off real quick,
No.
I remember you asked me to bring in whatever any information or like
Right, documents. Right.
proof that proves my statements or proves my
Right.
allegations. So I remember walking into your office with a milk crate
Yeah.
full of police reports, business cards, the calendars, photos, and you're like, what's this?
What the hell is this?
This is what this is what you asked me for. And there's the milk crate, buddy. You see what I'm using the milk crate for a whole different purpose now.
Yep.
And you were like shocked because like, are you serious? I'm like, hey, you asked me for everything I have. There you go. And it's a milk crate full. There was no gap in that milk crate. That milk crate was full.
Most people don't do that. Most people come in and go, this is what's going on. Have fun. What you did was the best possible thing to do, was the right thing to do. I would rather have, and I tell pretty much every client this, and I always have, I'd rather have 1,000 pages of nothing, of garbage, and use 5 of them than not know those 5 existed.
Right.
Because that could make or break a case. It could be, you don't know what is going to sway a judicial officer. They might be right on the fence about something, and then you have that email or that text message, or you say the smoking gun. It's way overused, but you have your smoking gun. It's, well, what about this? And they go, that's the missing piece. Okay, nope. It's very clear who the correct party here is. So it was nice having all those documents to go through, to go, okay, we don't need this, we don't need this, we need that. What is this? What is this? You didn't tell me about this. You didn't tell me about this. And so I'm putting together timelines, and I'm writing reports, and I'm going back to your attorney and going, oh, by the way, I found this. By the way, I found this. And the look of shock is getting larger and larger and larger as we go.
And the beautiful thing is that I'm very OCD with dates, and everything had a date. Everything had a timestamp, a date, a specific time. At 12:03, I picked up the kids. Mm-hmm. I was very specific. Again, I was advised from a long time ago to write everything down, save everything, take pictures. But every time I went to court, I was also advised to make it about the kids. Mm-hmm. So what was the point of me saving all this stuff? It wasn't going to come in handy until it landed on your lap.
Anytime you're in a custody dispute, because custody cases can be high conflict or low conflict, and somewhere in between. If they're low conflict, I don't see them, right? Because if you have another parent and you go, hey, this is the schedule we should have, and they say, yes, that's the schedule we should have, and you sign off on it, and the court signs off on it, you're done. There's nothing for me to do.
Right.
So, in that sense, I only get the high conflict cases. I only get the abuse cases. Cases, high asset cases where you get people hiding lots of money, because otherwise there's no point in paying me to do anything. But on these high conflict custody cases, parents really have to think in terms of documentation, like cops, right? You have to think, okay, the date and time, the location, were there any independent witnesses? Did I talk to any professionals? And what's the name of that professional?
And I gave you all that. And
you had everything. Yeah. There were very few points, if any, where I went back and went, hey, what about this? Hey, tell me more about this.
Right.
So, no, you did a phenomenal job with the documentation. It made my job infinitely easier and made your job infinitely small, or made your bill infinitely smaller, because I didn't have to burn another 30, 40, 50 hours sitting there going, okay, we need this document. I have to research on how to get this document. I have to write this subpoena. I have to do this. I have to do that. It made everything really fluid. And as I got more and more into it, and the thing that really broke your case was the fact that everything that woman did went on Instagram. Good God. So this was my first social media case, and it was also I really have you to thank for it. It was your case going through and looking at all these Facebook posts and all the Instagram posts, and I think by the time I was done, when we were getting ready for our first evidentiary hearing, we went in. My declaration and the exhibits, there was something like 200 exhibits, 200 plus,
right,
which were just social media posts from her accounts.
Well, if I'm correct, the first emergency hearing we had, it wasn't our regular judge, and this sub, when he saw the 300 pages we had in front of him, he says, "I don't have time to read all this. Are you serious?" That was your 200.
You're right. Yeah.
Remember?
Yes.
He was like, "I don't have time for this."
Yeah.
This is 300 pages on in one day.
There was a judge pro tem in that day.
Yeah.
Because the regular judge was out. You're very fortunate. So I will say, and I guess we can call it a shout out. I've been in a lot of courtrooms up and down this state in my career, and I'm very happy with the family law bench that we have in Ventura County. We have a very good set of judicial officers on the third floor that deal with family law cases. Like anything else, sometimes there's a ruling where, we go, what? Where did they get that from?
Right.
But by and large, we have a very fair bench. We have a very well-educated bench. And your judge in particular in this case is really good because he reads. He's a reader. And if you put paper in front of him, he'll read it. Even if it's stupid, he'll read it.
Right.
And that was the benefit to going in with 300 pages of, look at what this chick is posting. Good God.
Yeah.
He looked at every exhibit and read every word. And I think that was a big thing for your case.
Yes, it was.
That was huge. But yes, you're right. We went in. Yes, we went in for an emergency hearing first.
Just to try to get the children
Yeah.
into my care until we went to the Rio court.
I think they denied that.
Because it was
Because
sub.
it was the judge pro tem.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So then our first mediation, when you submit a paper, the other party needs to read it, submit something else, and it's back and forth. The calendar won't be set unless both parties have submitted something, accusations or, evidence or whatever you want to call it. So I remember for our first mediation, she had responded late, which made our answer even more late. So when we filed it, the mediator was like, "No, I don't want to read this. You guys filed it too late." And I remember my lawyer was, I fell in love with her this day because she threw a massive tantrum. No, they submitted late. That gives us time to submit. It's not our fault. And because we're not getting our way with the mediator, what do we have in the background? The three hyenas from the Lion King laughing at us. They think it's the most funniest thing that we're not being allowed to submit these papers. And these papers were very important.
So that was your ex. That was her mom.
And her little sister.
The three I remember watching that going, are they serious right now? And it was in full view of the media.
Everyone saw that.
It was like, no, this is not Sábado Domingo. No, no, this is not going to fly here. These people are not going to like this.
Nope.
You have to know your audience.
Yeah, they did that right in front of the mediator, and they thought it was the most funniest thing ever.
So procedurally for the listeners, so when you file so in a custody case, you file a declaration. Sometimes you'll have witness declarations. That's just, it's a statement, right? This is my story. So the other party, her, she has the ability to file a responsive declaration, which she has to, saying, yes, this is true, no, this is not true, whatever her response is. And then because it's your motion, you have the ability to file what's called a reply declaration, which is the last word, so to speak.
And
right?
That's the file that we...
And that's and you can't file a reply deck because you don't have a responsive deck yet.
Exactly.
So procedurally, she's right. At the end of the day, our court system theoretically is based on equity, right? It's based on fairness. So no, it's not fair for her to be able to go, well, no, this, and for you not to go, no, this.
Of course.
And that's So the fact, they're going, what?
Yeah.
And you're trying.
And I think, and I believe that's what made the mediator say, go for it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it did. Yes,
I'll read it.
So
she said, give me 10 minutes. I know my lawyer made a few phone calls, but I believe when the mediator saw what they were doing, she just said, okay, let me see it. Give me 10 minutes before I call you guys in.
Yeah.
And she comes back and she says, okay, we're going to accept it. Their 3 faces dropped.
Oh, it gets better.
Oh, it gets better. So here we go. First time in mediation with your guys' support, yours and the lawyer, walking into mediation. Because mediation, for those that don't know, that's where you have to convince the mediator who is right and who is wrong. And that's just you, the mediator, and the other party. Mm-hmm. So I walk in, and since I'm the one that filed, I get to give my statement first. Then she gets to give her statement. After she listens to both our statements and what we want and what's going on and blah, 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 she just wants to hear us out, but she has that 300 pages right in front of her. Mm-hmm. And when the mediator, it's funny because my wife tells the boys all the time, if I'm asking you, it's because I already know the answer. I want to see what you tell me. So, Mrs. So-and-so, have you done any drugs? No, I don't do drugs. Oh, really? And she pulls the page.
Let's just go to Exhibit A31.
Really, on Exhibit A, boom, this. Do you drink any alcohol? No. Oh, really? Because on, boom, and she pulls out another exhibit. The mediator already has the answers. Mm-hmm. She wants to see where it comes from over here. Now, my ex is getting nervous, and she pulls out her phone, and she's playing with her phone. I'm assuming she's texting the other 2 hyenas, because she's texting her phone. The mediator said, what are you doing? Ian, the moment, again, nothing has worked for me since 2009 going to court. Nothing has helped me. So we're talking 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, 5 years. Nothing has helped me get custody of these kids. The moment the mediator started ripping her a new one, Ian, I sat back on my chair and I was able to breathe. Ian, I was breathing for the first time. I was like, finally.
It's that sigh of relief.
Finally.
Someone hears me.
Yes. And, she's getting on her and she's reminding her of the stuff that she's seen on those 300 pages. And she has no answer. You have a picture here with alcohol next to your kid's bottle. Like, come on, man. Like, no. And she's like, no. And then this time she's like, and at this point, my ex is like, I'll do 50-50. She goes, and the mediator says, oh no,
we're past that.
We're not doing 50-50. I've seen enough. There's going to be a huge change after today. I need to sit down and speak with the children.
Yep.
Now, I'm not the kind of parent to tell my kids to lie.
Right.
From day one, you guys need to be honest. You guys need to tell the truth. If I've done something, if I spanked you, if they ask you, does daddy spank you? You say yes. Do not be afraid to be honest. Is that something my lawyer wanted to hear? No. But be honest. So there goes Nick. And he walks into the mediator's office. And she has him in there for at least half an hour maybe. When he walks out of that courtroom, I didn't see my 6-year-old. I saw a little man walking out with confidence. He was so proud of what he did and what he said that when his mom called him, he completely ignored her, like she wasn't standing there, like she did not just call his name. Now Julian's a little bit younger. He's barely at that age where they can finally question him, because I think after 6 years old, or Nick had a bit close to 7. Yeah, so after I think 5, I believe, they can question the young one. Yeah, he same thing. He walks in, he gives his little story. His is a lot smaller, 10 minutes. He's a little kid,
right?
And
And they give different answers too. You can ask them the same question 3 times and they'll give you 3 different answers.
So he's a little kid. I don't think they took his serious, but enough. Again, he walks out and, you know, he feels proud. He's good. Goes into the playroom. And then the last one is my daughter. And she's what? We're looking at 10 years old, going on 11. And when she walks out, after she's done also half an hour in there with the mediator, she walks out and she said, "Hey, can I say hi to my mom? Can I give my mom a hug?" The mediator says, "Yeah, why not?" My daughter runs to my wife, who is just stepmom at the moment, runs to gives her a hug, and the mediator looks confused. Now, what was the purpose of Layla doing that? I don't know, but it worked.
Proved a point.
It proved a point. Layla ran and hugged my wife instead of her biological mother.
So I can explain procedurally the background behind Layla. So, and because you've covered it, because Layla's not your biological daughter.
No, I've explained that already.
Yeah. Right. I listened to that episode.
Yeah.
So now, but for clarification, so when you got together with your ex, Layla was how old?
Layla was only 4 months.
Now we turn this around. Now I'm questioning
you're interviewing
you.
me.
Now
That's
I'm going
fine.
to interview you.
Let's go.
So wait, how old was she?
She was only 4 months.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she was tiny.
She was a baby.
And baby daddy, her biological father, who I'll talk about in a little bit because that was a fun road trip, was incarcerated. I think at that time also.
Yes.
He was in for quite a while. So he's in state prison, and you were effectively dead from when she was
born.
4 months on. So legally, so in California, there's a legal concept, and it's in the family code. It's called a presumed parent. And essentially, the 2 legal elements for a presumed parent are that you hold the child out to be your own, and that you provide for the child. And you did that.
Yes.
You did both of those things. I think the biggest one there is that you hold the child out to be your own. And
dude, you hear to this day, no one knows. Like, I don't announce her. Hey, these are my boys, and this is my stepdaughter.
Right.
These are my kids.
Right. That's your daughter. It is what it is. So, but the legal mechanism before before a presumed parent case existed, you wouldn't have had anything. You would have had to be married to her, and then you could have done a step parent case.
Right.
But you didn't have that option. So when this was put forth, and I remember one of the first meetings, I don't think that you were there, and we internally were discussing Layla, and someone brought up the presumed parent. And I'm still getting into civil and family law. I'm coming out of law enforcement. So these are all things that I'm learning.
That's right, because you were a police officer before.
Right. And I'm going, oh, that's interesting. So I'm reading the family code and I'm learning about it. And I go, oh, that might actually work. Okay. And so that was part of the motion, was to include Layla and for the court to make a finding. So when the court does things and they say, yes, this happened, they're called findings. And for the court to make a finding that Layla was your presumed daughter. And this was, again, the first time I'd seen it done. I'm sure it happens more frequently, but this is the first time I'd seen it. And that's, so it was interesting that they brought Layla into mediation and they included her.
Yeah, because they shouldn't have.
Right. Yeah, normally they wouldn't have. So it was neat to see. And the 3 hyenas really powered down.
Oh, dude.
Way hard.
Yeah. So usually after mediation, they'll schedule a court hearing either a couple weeks later, a month later. But in this case, the mediator was like, I've heard enough, and we need to schedule a court hearing right now.
Mm-hmm.
That day, she wasn't happy with the results, but the mediator was like, no, this is what needs to happen. And the judges usually take their recommendation into consideration.
So quick interjection. It's a good opportunity to educate your listenership as well. So every county in California is a little bit different. Mediation is ingrained in California law, but every county is different. So in Ventura County, we have recommending mediators, meaning they'll sit with you and they'll come up with a recommendation. And they'll go in and they'll testify to it. Yes, this is what we discussed. This is my recommendation. This is why. And mediators are usually, they're all LMFTs. They all have some specialty in child psychology and knowing how to deal with family disputes and things like that. But you look at Los Angeles County, they have mediation also, but they don't have recommending mediators. So you could go into mediation in LA and go, I don't agree, and then that's that. And then you just go to your hearing. So in that sense, it's good and bad because, yes, in this county, the mediators have a lot of power. And more often than not, the judicial officers go, yes, okay, we're going to adopt the mediation recommendation. But sometimes, I've seen it, I think every professional's seen it, you'll get a mediation rec and you look and you go, what? How? And that's when you go, and that's why you have the court process. So you go in, you have your hearing, or you have an evidentiary hearing, and you let the court make the final determination.
Right.
So it's good in this county, unless you get a bad rec, and then you have to fight. But you got a phenomenal recommendation. I remember reading it going, and then I was the cackling hyena. What we were.
Well, let's go back. So here we go. Recommendation, right? The mediator tells the judge what she recommends. Let's go back to that document that they didn't want the judge to see, or the mediator. So the first time we went to court and we had the emergency hearing, all the judge did was recommend that a certain individual wouldn't be around my children.
Yes.
Which is the family member.
Yes.
Were
they married at that point?
No.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
yes, they were. Yes, they were.
Were they?
Yes, they were.
I thought that no. They got married after because they thought that was somehow going to fix it.
You're right.
That was it.
So
yeah.
The first court order where the judge, the first court hearing where the judge said, "I'm not going to read all this, but I'll grant you this guy can't be around the children. Mm-hmm. I'll grant you that at least for now." That's where you came in, and you found some interesting facts that they didn't want the mediator or the judge to see. Is why they filed late, which is why our paper wasn't allowed until they were laughing like the hyenas.
So being the naturally inquisitive guy that I am,
with your newspaper cut out, like Valentine in the Morning said a few years back.
So I don't remember how we got that information. I don't remember how we got it. So
well, she was bribing the children and telling, with strawberries
that's
and saying,
right,
here's these strawberries. Don't tell your dad that he was here.
So that was that before or after? So no, that was the other part of that was the Oxnard PD thing.
Yeah.
So come to find out, and I don't remember how we found out. Come to find out that there was a domestic at the house between the two of them, and I think I got the call logs, and then I subpoenaed the 911 call and some other stuff. So we got the 911 call, and I remember playing it in the office, and I think I even called you and said, you need to come in the office right now. Because we all sat in. I brought everyone to the conference room before you got there, and I played it. We were just elated because it had her
accusing him.
She said, "Oh, he's crazy and violent. I think he's on meth. He's drunk." It was. I'm listening to. I couldn't have gift wrapped this any harder. Like I don't. How really? Christmas came early that year.
That was the document they didn't want the mediator or the judge to see. So that morning, I walk out with full custody of the boys, and she only had supervised visitations.
No. The supervised came at the second.
We'll get second into that one?
Yeah, because I have the best story about that one.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm getting ahead of the game.
She had like weekends.
She had weekends, so she lost. I get 95% custody.
She had like every other Friday and Saturday, something like that. Something. It was a very small percentage.
So now the three hyenas are on the ground, on their knees, crying.
Por favor, ayúdame, ayúdame. Yeah, no, dude, it was bad.
Yeah. So first court hearing, I believe this was when I walked away with the boys. This was in March of 14. But that's just the beginning. So I know I said we keep these podcasts under an hour, bro. It's not going to happen.
It's going to go over an hour. This is a great story, and there's just it borders on Lifetime original movie at some points.
We got to make a Hallmark movie.
Yeah. So then fast forward a couple weeks, and you call me, panicked, and I'm sitting in my office, and you're like, "Hey, I'm freaking out right now." I said, "What's going on, buddy?" I said, "Someone from the district attorney's office called me," and I went, "Okay, do you know who it was?" And you said, "Hey, I wrote his name down." And I said, "Was it a DA investigator or was it a deputy DA? Because there's a big difference in the phone calls between the two. And you said, I don't know. And I said, okay, what's his name? So you gave me his name. And I went, oh, I know him. He's a DA investigator. So I said, let me follow up on it. I said, did you talk to him? You said, no, he left me a message. I said, okay, let me call him and figure out what's going on. So I walked down the hall and I got your attorney. I said, hey, I'm going to call this DA investigator. He called Andres. I'm going to see what's going on. So, okay, fine. So I sat and I called him. And I said, hey, we met a couple years back. And, because you meet people in passing. And I knew him by name. And I'd met him in passing. So I said, we've met. And I said, I work at this law firm now. And I do this and that. And he said, yeah, what can I do for you? And I said, you called our client. And I'm just trying to follow up on that. And he goes, okay, yeah, no, I just needed to get some information from him. And I said, okay, is he a suspect in something that we need to get him criminal counsel, or do you just need some information? He goes, no, I just need some information. I said, okay. I don't suppose you could tell me what it's about. He said, no, but I really can't. I said, I understand that. I said, let me ask you an unrelated question. I said, can I ask you what unit you're assigned to at the DA's office right now? And he started laughing. He goes, I work government fraud. I said, like welfare fraud? He goes, yeah. I said, if I had lots of documents and information about Andres' ex, do you think that might be helpful for you? He goes, well, it might. What type of information do you have? I said, but I know everything that this woman has ever done, and I have documents that show everything she's ever done for the last 3 years. So you tell me what would help you. And he starts laughing. He goes, do you know where the kids are or where they've been? I said, I sure do. Would you like those documents? Said, yeah, I sure would. Dude, I Dropboxed him hundreds of pages worth of documents. So he calls me back the next day. He said, hey, this was so helpful. Thanks so much. There's one other thing I can help with. I said, yeah, what can I do? He goes, we've been going to the house to try and talk to her, and she's dodging us.
Of course.
I said, no. I don't believe
that was sarcastic, by the way.
The convicted probationer that's allegedly committing welfare fraud doesn't want to talk to the DA investigators? No. He goes, do you know where we can get a hold of her? I said, you know what, bud? She's going to be in court on the 3rd floor in this courtroom in 3 days. We'll be there at this time. It's going to go about an hour. He goes, cool, I'll see you there.
Yeah.
So which leads us to the second ex-party, which I'll key up because I remember this one really well. This was one of my favorite court appearances of all time. So we went back in ex-party, and we said...
Ex-party meaning emergency hearing.
An ex-party is an emergency hearing.
Yeah.
It's a non-calendared hearing. They're set a day in advance, and ex-party from the Latin one party. They're for a lot of different reasons. In family law, it's usually because you're asking for emergency orders because there's an immediate danger to the children, there's immediate danger of loss of property, there's something the court has to do right this second. And a lot of people abuse them. It is what it is. So we went in because the court said the kids will not be around this person with whom your ex had a relationship. I don't think they were married yet. Your family member. With whom she was living, with whom the court said shall not, they said shall not be unsupervised. Will not be unsupervised around the kids.
He wasn't supposed to be around the kids, period.
No, it was unsupervised. Yeah, because they were living, they won't say at all if you have parties living together. They'll say unsupervised. So what we did was I went up and I posted up outside the house and I got him walking the kids to school every day for like 2 weeks.
That's right.
So we went back in and went, your orders aren't being followed.
Yep.
So this made my day. So when we went in and they changed custody again.
Yep.
That's when she went to supervised.
Professional
supervision, and they took days away. So she didn't have weekends. She had weekends and something else, but they took that away.
Yep.
And she went to like
30 minutes a week.
Yeah, 30 minutes professionally supervised a week. And it was funny because like this wasn't processing in her brain.
Nope.
So the court makes this order ex parte, which is not, I don't want to say it's uncommon, but it's not every day. It's a big deal to take custody away replace it with supervised with such a small period of time. So we're just, if we could have like done a double high five chest bump in the courtroom, me and your attorney, we would have. But the judge makes that ruling. She turns around, looks at me, and I'm not going to mouth what she said.
Yeah.
But
you can say here.
Yeah, did that just happen?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at you, and you're still kind of like, what did you just say?
What the hell?
And we're just going, oh no, it gets better. So we stand up, and we all go out in the hallway, and you're going, what just happened? So we're going, oh, you have your kids, she gets them, and we're explaining it to you, and I hazard a time that I've seen you so happy. Your eyes lit up. You and Letty, but the eyes were watering, and it was just, we were all so happy.
That was the day that my lawyer. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
My eyes started watering. I started crying. Hey, I'm not ashamed to say I'll cry. And I cried. My lawyer hugged me and said, "This is why I do what I do."
It was a cry-worthy occasion.
Yeah.
It was after. Dude, I felt that moment, and like, because I'm bitter and jaded and emotionally dead inside. But I felt that moment, right? That's why, because I do a jillion cases. I've done a jillion cases, and there are just a handful where you're like, hey, I did the right thing. I did something good. I helped somebody, and that was this.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna get rich on this case. This wasn't a money case. No offense.
No. We'll get there.
This was a. And again, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, but this is a good dad. He's trying to do the right thing by his kids. Let's try and create some justice here, or facilitate some justice here.
Right.
And we had it. It happened. The justice system worked the way it's supposed to. The kids were protected, and everything worked out the way it was supposed to. And then it gets better.
And wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. We just went full ShamWow.
Oh yeah.
So
I remember that quote from what is it? Scream, the first Scream. But
yeah,
wait,
there's more. So then she comes out, and she comes up to you, starting to ask when she can pick up the boys or the kids.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. And this was and the court awarded Layla to you also. Layla was included in this.
Yes.
I think we glossed over that at the first hearing.
Well, that was actually the hearing that some clarification came up. So she ended up lawyering up.
Oh.
She ended up lawyering up. She got a lawyer, and she told her lawyer her side of the story. Where she screwed up was not being honest with her lawyer.
Shock.
Because I believe it's trial, and dude, even my wife had to sit up there, and she's never done anything uncomfortable like that. And
we're not at trial yet.
No,
we're not there yet.
There's
Next.
so many court dates
I know.
that freaking I don't even know.
I'll handle the court timeline.
So
I'm on track there.
So her lawyer's 100% confused. Wait a minute. What does Mr. Martinez's mom have to do with her husband? And the judge responds,
it's his brother.
Her lawyer was like, what? And the judge dummified it for her. She married Mr. Martinez's brother.
Yep.
Which...
Yeah, and it's bad when the judicial officer who hears 100 cases a week, and this is just one of the thousands of cases they hear a year, remembers that fact.
Ian, that day, I felt so bad for her lawyer. She made her lawyer look stupid. She sent her lawyer out to a pack of wolves. My lawyer and you.
Okay, so I know her lawyer. Very nice lady. Here's what I'm going to say about attorneys. I've worked with a lot of attorneys in a lot of different areas of law in my career. I've worked with some of the what I firmly believe are the best attorneys in the country. I've worked with some amazing trial attorneys that rival stuff you've watched in movies.
Right.
And I've worked with attorneys where I'm definitely not going to name any names. One in particular, not in this county, in another county. I was testifying at a trial, and I'm going off on a tangent real quick. It's just my quick explanation. And I was on the stand, and this attorney was asking me questions, and it was probably the worst trial questioning I've ever heard. Opposing counsel starts getting up on cross. There's not a single objection, and they're just so finally I said, "Hey, can I take a quick restroom break?" So we went out to, and so I got my bag out, and I had in my bag, in my folder of stuff, I had a cheat sheet of objections that I have, and I gave it to this attorney. I said, "Hey, I carry this around. Maybe it'll help." And I was very low pro about it.
Yeah.
But and then the objection started when I got back, and it was better. But it's like anything else. Some people are really good at their job. Some people are not so good at their job, and some people are good with specific areas of their job. And it's like I told you, and I've told everyone else. You know, sometimes if I get an off the street client and they go, "Oh yeah, I have this family law case," I go, "Okay, who's your attorney?" "Oh, it's so and so." I'll go, "You sure that's going to be a strong move for you?" or occasionally be, "Oh, so and so's my attorney." I go, "They're a personal injury attorney. Why are they representing you in a family law matter?"
Bro, I wish I was recording this because your facial expressions are priceless.
I'm very expressive. It's like you wouldn't hire an electrician to redo your plumbing, no more than you would hire a plumber to redo your drywall.
Right.
The law is the law, and there's specific areas that people spend their entire careers getting good at. You want someone who's practiced family law for 20 years successfully, not someone who practices family law but also does personal injury. It's you gotta. I'm not a big fan of those general practitioners because they're, sometimes they're good, but a lot of times they're okay.
Right.
But you did well, and she, she's good at what she does. I don't think that family law trials are necessarily in that group. See, we're getting too far ahead. We're at trial already. We're still at the second ex parte. And I'm going off on tangents. So she comes out, your ex comes out of the courtroom and says, "When can I pick up the kids?" And we're going, no, that's not how this is going to work now. So then we spent about a minute explaining what just happened. So she completely falls apart.
Yeah.
In the hallway of the third floor of the Ventura County Superior Court, the family law hall, she completely loses her mind, starts crying, loses it, and I feel good inside. Her tears are providing me sustenance. And now the cherry on top of the day are two DA investigators who come out of the courtroom and walk up to her and go, "Ma'am, are you so-and-so?" "Yes." "Can we talk over here for a couple minutes?"
Yeah, I remember that.
So the two DA investigators now take her after the court has just taken her children away from her and are now going to go talk to her about whatever it was they talked to her about.
Yeah.
If I could box up that moment in a Christmas present and give it to you every year, I would. Because it was perfect. It was the perfect moment.
It truly was, man.
But then it gets better.
And there's more.
So she, oh no, she came to talk about this because she had the kids, and we had to go get them, and I was directed, "Hey, go with Andres. He's got to go pick up the kids."
Because it was Layla.
Yeah,
Layla. The boys were in that little
right.
conference,
Yep.
the little
We had to go get Layla.
waiting room.
Yep.
It was Layla who we had to pick up because the moment she was still confused at what had just happened, and my lawyer had to remind her, "You just lost all 3 kids."
Right.
And my lawyer's brain started ticking, and she instructed you. I think she demanded you go with me to go pick up Layla.
We would say voluntold.
Yeah.
I was voluntold to do it.
So, and this is a time where, we drive, to the location, to the house, and we have to call PD to get there.
Yeah.
And I think there was like a shooting that day. So it takes PD 3 hours.
It took them a long time to get there.
To get there. And this is where you and I really get to know each other. And this is where you tell me, "Bro, when you were telling me the stories that she was doing, I was like, yeah, okay, pal. Heard that one before. Blah, blah, blah." I had more respect for you that day for being honest with me because, like I said, we really got to know each other that day. And, and you weren't, your guys' profession is don't get involved with the client. Don't be, and then here we are. Now you're on my podcast, bro.
you turn into a lifelong friend.
Yeah.
A lot of cases are forgettable. Well, the reason I told you that is we get so many of those cases.
Right.
You get cases where both parents are fine and they're just pissed off at each other. Okay, it's family law, and we're used to seeing it. The courts are used to seeing it. The media, everyone knows, and you can usually wade through it. And sometimes you get the cases like yours where you have these kids that are caught in the middle of parents, and you've got a parent who's great, who loves their kids, who wants to take care of them.
Thank you.
And then you've got another parent who's complete. They're a possession.
There you go.
They're a possession, and they're a pawn, and their only purpose is to upset the other parent. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Period. And it's usually really easy to key in on which is which. And on those cases where you have the good parent and you have the good parent, it's a lot easier to do that little bit extra, and it's harder to stay emotionally distant from those cases because it's not a property case. It's not an insurance case.
It's not small claims court.
Right. It's not a non-injury insurance case where, you've got two expensive cars that are crashed. We have to argue about, who cares? It's stuff. But these are children. And I think anyone who's involved in family law, a big thing that's really important to remember is, and I was reminded of this recently, especially these younger kids cannot advocate for themselves. Your kids were not old enough to advocate for themselves. They can tell you what they're thinking and what they're feeling, what experiences they have, but they can't advocate for themselves. Like you can advocate for them. You as a parent are the strongest advocate for your kids, right? Your attorney can go in and argue. I can, sit in the background and build the biggest, strongest possible case for that attorney to argue. But at the end of the day, you as the parent are the strongest advocate for your children. Even with your own legal team, sometimes you have to sit down and go, no, we're not doing this. This is what's in the kid's best interest. Because you're a parent first and foremost. You have to remember to use the system to your advantage. And that's what you did. You used the system to your advantage. You didn't do anything illegal or unfair or unethical. You followed the rules. You used the rules to your advantage. And that's what you're supposed to do. And you won.
Yeah.
You came out ahead. Because you had the evidence, you had good counsel, and you had a good judicial officer. The stars and the moons aligned, and you won. It worked out. It was great. Yeah. And then we went to trial.
Again.
So procedurally, the court can't make permanent ex parte orders, right? They're always temporary because we have a constitution, and you have a right. Everyone has a right to due process. And if you demand a hearing, you get a hearing, period. So we went to trial.
Since she wasn't happy with the outcome, she went to trial.
Which, I probably would have cut my losses at that point, but that's cool. So we go to trial. You didn't have a long trial. We were only there. It was only a day, I think. Less than a day.
It was a day. It
wasn't a long trial.
It was. I know it was because she was not happy with the outcome, and she wanted to see if it was reversed.
Yeah.
And that's why we went to trial.
Which was, colloquially, I use the term pistol whipping a blind kid. That was like the most one-sided trial I've ever seen. Oh. Well, so I think I was on the stand the longest. I was on the stand for
You were on the stand. I was on the stand.
Yeah.
My wife, again, the most uncomfortable thing she has ever had to done.
I'm sure.
But she had her facts, her details, names, numbers, everything.
I prepped her. We sat in my office for an hour, and I said, "This is what you're going to get asked. This is what they're going to ask on cross."
And then I believe she was also on the stand.
Yeah, she was on the stand.
So
I was on the stand longer than the two of you were. The cross exam was funny from her attorney. We started talking about your brother.
Yeah.
And because we found out like a week before that they got married.
Yeah.
And it was in one of the pleadings, in one of the motions. And her attorney had asked, "Well, how do you know they're living together?" just threw it out like that. And
Yeah.
I looked at your attorney waiting for the objection because I expected there to be. I'm like, she doesn't want me to answer that. I'm going to just annihilate her client.
Yeah.
I don't understand. And I don't remember what I said, but it was something like, well, and I just went on this long rambling answer. No, she could have objected. The court, nobody stopped me. Well, his driver's license or his ID card had that address. His probation is at that address. Oxnard PD's been there for domestics
Multiple times
at that address for him. Here's video of him walking the kids to school every day, walking out of the house. Here's him picking the kids up from school, walking back to the house, nowhere to be seen. She's not anywhere to be seen. So I went on for like a solid minute and a half. Nobody stopped me. Nobody objected.
Nope.
Nope. Objective compound answer. No. Nope.
Nope.
No. And then she really regretted she asked that question.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the trial, the court goes, yeah, no, we're going to keep this as is.
Yeah. Well, because at this point, the judge is like, again, the judge always always sided with the moms. They try to, so he pretty much gave her an option. Pretty much your kids or your husband. She chose her husband.
Well, okay, so we know that marriage is a lifetime promise. Are they still married?
That says it all.
Are you laughing?
No, they're not married.
No. That didn't work out?
No.
Oh.
No.
That's terrible.
No,
I'm so sorry to hear that.
I think they divorced within a few months after.
No. Can you hear the dripping sarcasm in my voice that I am just completely shocked? I knew that they weren't.
And then the answer,
Yeah.
and then her comment to some people was, "Oh, I only did it to piss Andy off."
We knew that.
Well, thank you, because you just gave me custody of the kids.
Right. And I'm sorry. I know that you've quashed the dispute. Did she think that was trading up?
I don't know.
I don't want to disparage family, but she thought that the unemployed, meth using, drinking, convicted criminal was the
Better
choice
choice.
than the employed, doing well, established, has a home and safe environment for the children brother?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, not gonna. Okay, great. Yeah, no. The after trial, the court said no. It is what it is. And that's it. Oh wait, we picked up Layla. So we go to pick up Layla. OPD finally shows up,
Yeah.
and I knew the officer. He's a longtime OPD guy, really good dude. So we're standing out there, and I remember they started the peanut gallery stuff. While
Yeah.
The younger sister and the mom standing out
they
there.
build a wall, human
know.
wall in the alley.
Which I was laughing. I thought it was funny. So Layla has her stuff, and she comes out, and I was talking to that officer, and we were joking, and I said, "Hey, I want you to go arrest Mom," and he goes, "For what?" And I said, "Well, look at her." And dude, if looks could kill, like I legit thought she was gonna come over and shank me.
Dude, we'd be both dead right now.
I thought I was going to get in a gunfight in the alleyway. It was nuts. So we're standing there, and I said, "I want you to arrest her." And he goes, "For what?" And I said, "For 245. So 245, cop speak, is the California Penal Code for assault with a deadly weapon. And he goes, "For 245. And I said, "Yeah, dude, look at those dagger eyes." And he was laughing. And he goes, "What's the deal with this?" And I gave him like the quick little cliff notes the minute. And he goes, "Wow." I won't repeat exactly what he said because I'm not supposed to use that language. He goes, "That's amazing." So yeah, it is what it is.
Well, the officer was also really disappointed because when he asked her, out of us two, he asked her which one's Mr. Martinez, and she responds, "The fat one." But then my daughter starts to laugh, and the officer was not. Dude, he probably wanted to arrest her there and then as well.
I'm sure
for that comment.
Right, I'm sure. And I'll say this for you and for the listenership, I know that it sucks when things like that happen, but it's great that it happened in front of a third party, independent peace officer witness, so that later, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares. No one's ever going to do anything about it. But if it did, now you've got a uniformed police officer on the stand going, yeah, no, that's what she said.
Yep.
And that makes a huge difference in the courtroom.
That's where his business card comes in handy.
Yep.
Let's go. I need this, please.
Yeah.
And I get it. She rushed from the courthouse that day, went and grabbed Layla from school, where she wasn't supposed to because she was no longer under her.
Right.
You know? And I'm sure she brainwashed the child as much as she could. She told her horrible things about myself and my wife. So I get why my daughter laughed. I don't hold that against her. She's 11 years old, dude. And so I get it, man. But that was the reason why they asked you to go with me that day.
Right.
Because it was going to get ugly.
Oh, I know it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. That you shouldn't have been there by yourself. And no, it worked out okay. And then after trial, it worked out great because those were the permanent orders, and that was that. And that was, you won.
Yeah.
You won, and you still have them.
But wait, there's more.
There's more. So
is this the Layla last name?
Yes.
When you had to go for a little drive?
So we finished the trial. Now the last piece of housekeeping is Layla. You have Layla, and that's that. So the danger zone that we're looking at now is Layla still has a biological father.
And now we have to worry about like an adoption type stuff.
Right. So the concern was, okay, well, we need to figure out what his release date is, and we're starting to. That's when we were starting to deal with AB 109 at the state level, where with realignment, with state inmates getting released early, with Prop 47, with Prop 57. So there were a lot of criminal laws in California that were changing, a lot of ballot measures and a lot of state legislation that we started, okay, well, is he going to be out soon? Are we going to be in again for custody for him? And we said, well, I think we talked to you, and you got some information too that, well, maybe he doesn't want to be dad anymore. Maybe he's willing to terminate his parental rights.
Yeah, because I believe she mentioned that Layla had a relationship with her father.
Right.
And like I mentioned to you, I'm like, yeah, that was in 2010 when I first left the house. The guy came around for like 2 weeks and then
she's
disappeared.
4 months old. She's not going to remember that.
Yeah.
So what do we do? Well, we need to see if he's going to voluntarily terminate his parental rights. And I was like, okay, well, did you sign? Yeah, he needs to sign off on it. Okay, well, I guess I need to go talk to him. Well, he's at CDCR, California Department of Corrections State Prison, out in the desert, out in high desert, like almost to Blythe.
But you know what the beautiful part was?
Oh, please tell me you didn't drive out there.
No, I didn't drive out there.
Please tell me what the beautiful part was.
The beautiful part was...
No, I want to hear this.
The beautiful part was where the judge said we couldn't use any of his criminal background against him, only everything after Layla was born.
Yes.
And your response was, everything he did was after Layla was born.
Yep.
This is beautiful. Here's another Christmas gift.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
It was everything, huh?
Yeah.
So I find him and I get a hold of CDCR and I get a legal visit set up, and at this point I still don't know where he is. Oh no, then I got the ombudsman office. They said, okay, we're gonna set it up, and so shout out to CDCR from what was it, 7 years ago. At that time, they were extremely cooperative, and they were very helpful in helping me organize this visit. And I told them exactly what I needed and what I wanted to do. They're like, cool, no problem, we'll set it up. They verified my credentials, and I drove the 6 hours. Well,
thank you.
Yeah, I think it was 6. It was like 4. It was between 4 and 6.
Thank you.
out to, was it Ironwood? No, Chuckawalla Valley. CDCR Chuckawalla Valley, which is right next to Blythe. You're welcome. So on the way out there, I stopped in beautiful Desert Center, California. You know what's in Desert Center, California?
I'm sure you're going to tell me.
Not a goddamn thing. There's an old dilapidated diner. There's a rail car that's like parked right off the street that's old and broken, and a bunch of vacant buildings.
Wow.
Yeah, I have a picture.
I'm sure you do.
You know what the best part of Desert Valley is? Driving the hell out of Desert Valley. Desert Center. I can get a snack and a drink. Nope, just kidding. I can pee on some sand. So, drive out there, and it's, for those who have not been to a state prison before, it's exactly what you think it looks like. It's a state, there's big fences on the outside. So you park, in a normal parking lot. You walk into it like a normal looking outbuilding. You give my ID, they check you in. If it's a legal visit, they do things a little bit differently. You can take a couple more things in, like pens and paper and some other things. So they got me checked in, walked me back. They walk you through, between the two perimeter fences. They take you into an area, then into a building, all the sliding doors, like any other custodial facility. Then you sit and wait, and they bring in your guy. And I talked with him, and he, I don't have anything bad to say about him. He wasn't, disrespectful to me in any way.
Right.
My only observation was it was kind of what I expected. He's an inmate. He's been around. He's street smart, and I think he tried to hustle me a little bit, not knowing that it's not my first day, and I kind of have a good idea of what's going on.
And you were born and raised in SP?
Yeah. I was born and raised in Oxnard.
Oh, okay.
Which is almost
the same thing.
I went to junior high at Fremont Middle School, so I know what's up.
There you go.
Yeah. So, but no, I knew what he was doing, and I just explained. I was professional. I just said, "Hey, look, bud, this is what I'm doing." I just talked to him like a normal person, and he was cool. And I got the sense from him, he was never going to sign it. He was never going to. And I think I talked to him on the phone at one point before going out there. He was never going to sign it.
Right.
I don't think that he did it to waste my time. I think he did it because it was a change of pace for him. It was something different. It was something for him to do.
Right.
Which was fine. But, I spent an hour and a half, 2 hours there sitting there talking to him, trying to get him to sign this damn thing, and just was not going to do it. So I went, okay, cool. Thanks, bud. Packed up my stuff. Drove the 4 to 6 hours back. Yeah. But, I think I testified about it, too. This is what he told me. And,
yeah.
And as far as he's never come looking for her or filed anything, as far as I know, has he?
To this day, no. And
okay.
and again, like I said earlier about using his criminal record from the moment Layla was born, the judge was like, again, this is the kind of person you want around your daughter. Like,
right?
Are you serious? Look at everything he's done, and it was. Again, the judges is just like, you're picking the wrong people to be around your children, and
right.
I believe that day I was awarded to be Layla's legal father, no longer stepdad, but legal father,
right.
Meaning my name was added to her birth certificate, and my last name was added to her name.
That was the final order after trial.
After that,
yep.
She stopped appearing to court. She gave up. She's done.
Yeah.
Nothing she can say or do was going to win her those kids back.
She's not a good parent.
So
I mean, it's
yeah.
It is what it is. You can only polish a turd so much. so to speak. It's
yeah, no, man. It was, like I said, it was just nothing she can say. She like I said, the last few court dates she gave up. She gave up, and then up until it was time for us to move to La Puente, mm-hmm. She showed up to that court hearing. But again, she tried her best to stop us. And by then, we didn't need you anymore. You
right.
know, you served your purpose. Now it's just us trying to move, and again, mediation, and the kids went to go speak to the mediator, and we want to move, and whatever they said. Again, me teaching my kids just to be honest. I spank you. She asks you, you answer. And so now, again, my lawyer is, this is smaller cases now. Let's give it to my subs, the guys that I'm mm-hmm. training now to do it. And the good guy, man, good guy. And so we're in front of the judge again, and we asked to have the mediator speak. And what helped was the two questions that I asked my lawyer to ask the mediator. Mm-hmm. Have the children express their feelings about moving to La Puente, and have the children express the visits when they're with their mom. Now, I don't know if he was hesitant or he didn't want to ask those questions, but Ian, those two questions got the judge to say, you guys can move.
Those are important questions.
I don't know if he didn't want to answer. He felt uncomfortable asking, but when he asked the mediator those
right.
questions, she, in her little notes, and boom, 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 yes, the kids expressed this, and yes, the kids expressed that they don't like to be around the grandmother. Hyena number 2. They don't like to be around her.
So, having litigated a 3-day child custody trial in pro per, I have experience on all the sides now. It's the old adage: you don't want to ask a question you don't know the answer to.
Right.
You don't want to ask open-ended questions like that necessarily. Well, what do you think about this? Because you're probably not going to like the answer. And with the mediator, because you observe the mediators have a lot of power, and the courts really listen to, in this county at least, what the mediator has to say. And so he doesn't want to ask it because he doesn't want her to say, "Oh, they don't want to move. Oh, they love being with mom," because now this is a very different hearing.
Right.
But you knew the answers.
Oh, I knew the answers.
You knew what the kids were going to say.
Oh, yeah.
Not because you coached them, but because you knew how they felt.
Yeah.
And because they've been living with you for 4 years.
Ian, it was their idea to want to move.
Right.
They wanted to move.
So
They saw the different environment when we went to go visit my wife's family. They saw how everybody got along, how a family should be, instead of coming to grandma's house and them just venting and gossiping. That's all they do is gossip. There's a picture of Nicholas on Julian's birthday, and Nicholas's face is super pissed. He's really pissed. And I got my hands on this photo, and I asked him, "Mijo, why are you so mad in this photo? Why are you so mad?" Because they were just finishing talking bad about you. Mm-hmm. So they didn't hold back on keeping their comments to themselves.
They're not going to.
And they didn't learn until this day, man. Till this day, I just dropped off the kids yesterday, and I didn't want to drive next to them. And because I kind of made like a little quick U-turn, they started laughing. Till this day, they will never grow up. And so, the boys are at the point where they're old enough to kind of answer. They'll speak for themselves. And if they don't like something she's doing, they'll tell her, "Hey, don't talk about my dad like that." But now we're getting to a whole different topic now. But yeah, dude, they wanted to move. The judge awarded us to move. We moved. And luckily, I was able to transfer from my job to a new territory where they wanted me over there. And when it comes back to you and the lawyer, the last court hearing, the lawyer told me, if you get these kids out of Oxnard, I knew. She says, I took your case, back to your point, I took your case not knowing that you were never going to pay off the balance. She already had given me a $20,000 deduction because my wife and I got married. That was her wedding gift. Then she tells me, "Get these kids out of Oxnard, move them out of here, start them with a new life, better people, better environment." I obviously see by your wife that they're going to have good influences in La Puente. There's doctors, there's police officers, there's chemists, there's everything. The family has everything. And so you're going to have good role models. If you move them out of here, your new, $47,000 will be wiped clean. And we did. And I didn't have to pay her. She wiped the bill clean. Then I come to you. I make you my last $100 payment. And I still have like $3,000 pending. And you ask me, "Hey, what date did you get married?" And, I think it was January 31st. All right, cool. I give you the $100. You give me the receipt. I'm about to walk out, where you remind me to look at the bill. And you dropped the bill to zero as well. You said, a wedding gift.
Happy wedding.
Happy wedding. And again, here you go. Dude, just right now, I'm freaking tearing up, man, because you guys didn't have to do that. You guys didn't have to take my case. You guys lost hours and time, but you guys did it. And I couldn't be more happier. You guys, dude, we're talking $67,000 just wiped clean.
What I think clients lose sight of sometimes is it's a business, right? You're in my home office now. I have nice stuff, but I have nice stuff because I have a business.
Right.
And in order for that business to function, you got to make money. Now, I juxtapose that. I balance that with cases like yours, where I look at it and I go, not everybody can afford justice. And this is a much broader discussion. But when people say that our justice system is money based, it really is. I've seen it. I've worked in the legal system now for almost 2 decades, right? It's like 14, 15 years, 16 years. Long time. So I've seen it. I've seen it in criminal courts. I've seen it in civil courts. I've seen it in family law. I've seen it everywhere. If you have the money to afford justice, you'll usually get it. It's not, it's not the rule, or it's not the exception. There are exceptions to the rule, but you didn't have it. That doesn't mean that these kids don't deserve a better, safer, more stable environment than they have now, or than they had. And I think that's what your attorney and I, in many discussions, went, no, we'll just do this, we'll do this, we'll do this. I caught some flack internally from my operations manager at the time, because a lot of stuff I did on your case, I just didn't bill. Like the drive out to the prison, I billed like an hour and a half on it.
Appreciate that.
And and then I voided it out. But and it got zeroed out.
I got zeroed out anyways.
Not that long after. But I caught some flack for it. Hey, this is not a charity, and and then once I said, well, look, it's the right thing to do. Then we were all on the same page, and it was fine. But no, I was happy to do it because, your attorney and I both realized, and we talked about it. It was not a money case. And again, that's not, no offense by that, but we know what the money cases are, because the money cases, you can, you have a client come in, and family law, it's easy because they have to disclose their financials. So how much money they have. And more unethical attorneys will go, oh, I know exactly how much I can get out of them. So I knew, and I wasn't worried about it. I was worried about making sure that we had a positive outcome for you and for the kids. And I wish we could do that for every case. We can't. I'm very happy that you had such a good outcome. I'm beyond overjoyed that those kids are doing so well, and they're with you, and not with your train wreck of an ex. She's a train wreck.
Yeah.
Disaster. Metrolink, full speed, head on, mass carnage. There's you can't put that. You can't put Humpty Dumpty back together with that.
Right.
It's just a lost cause.
I like to end every podcast with a funny story. And there's one where you called me a few years after I already had the kids and they were already living with me, and you called me because
that's right,
someone approached you for your line of work.
So I had a phone call from a guy that I have a lot of respect for. I love him to death. We didn't always see eye to eye when I worked for him, but I don't have anything bad to say about him. He's a good guy. So
I met him a few times.
Yeah,
he's a good guy.
He's a really good guy. So he calls me. It was out of the blue, and I'd been off the job a couple of years and started talking to me about investigative work. And we were, I was just kind of giving him the lay of the land back and forth, and we were just having just a friendly talk. And he goes, yeah. He goes, there was an attorney and an investigator that really jammed up my niece and got her kids taken away a year or two ago. I went, no kidding. I said, was that here? He goes, yeah. And then we started talking about that. Yeah, no, he started, saying things, giving,
I believe he was even happy the kids were.
So he goes, yeah. He goes, she's a bit of a train wreck, and I don't remember verbatim what he said, but he alluded that she was not a good person. And I said, hey, just out of curiosity, what's her name? And he told me, and I went, ooh. Hey, so just so you know, and he thought it was funny. He said, good for you. He goes, that's probably the best thing for those kids. So it turns out that person is the niece of my prior lieutenant, who's now retired.
He's now retired.
He's now retired.
So you had to tell him it was me.
Yeah, I just shoot the hand up and go, yeah. So hopefully this won't affect our friendship, but I got your niece's kids taken away. Sorry.
And his response was obviously priceless.
That's fine. Yeah, that's good for you.
Ian, man, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
I mean, I had to drive over here. You know what? It felt good getting away from the house, jumping on the 101, being in my, stomping grounds, being in Ventura County, being on home soil for a while. Feels good. Got on the 118 and just flashback memories of, just out back in the days, man, of 118 where I used to go to work all the time. And again, I mean, it only took 13 Elton John songs to get here. But thank you for wanting to be on the podcast and giving us from your point of view your story. And like I end every podcast, thank you for riding with me.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Ride With Me, the Flat Tire Indie Podcast. You can also listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, and Podbean.